Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, GDC has now ended, and we have some news here to talk about from Oculus that they obviously announced for VR that I'm really excited to share with you guys. Some of the changes that they made, a new headset that they announced, all that cool stuff. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. So let's start with the Oculus Quest. Let's start with the headset that we already know about that is coming, sometime in spring. The best guesses that people obviously have for the Oculus Quest is that it's probably going to release on April 30th, because that is when Facebook's developer conference is, and that's what they usually do. They like to just drop it and then say it's out now, kind of thing. So that's everyone's best guess on when that's coming out. That's obviously it's $400 when it's going to come out. And if you guys don't know what this is, obviously it's the standalone headset that we've all been talking about. If you guys have seen my channel with Oculus Go, this is the next evolution after that. Everything is built inside, just like the Go is, where the chipset is inside and stuff. But instead of just three-dimensional tracking, this is now 6DoF, so it tracks your head and your hands. Comes with 2 controllers, of course, and it has 4 cameras on the front of the headset, so there's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, each inclining a little bit towards the bottom and the top, so it gets a pretty good range of view of everything that you're seeing. So obviously there's no PC you're tethered to, there's no cameras that you need to set up or anything like that, so this is the one everyone's obviously really looking forward to, because this could be the future on how VR goes, because everything is in one. It's basically, like I said, very comparable to the Oculus Go, but obviously with the cameras in front of it, it can now do full 6 degrees of freedom, which is very different than, very similar to, what we get on the Oculus Rift using the cameras, with the freedom of you being able to do anything. And obviously you can do room scale VR stuff, where you can move around your whole entire room, but you're not confined anymore to a tether of a wire. So now you're talking about, being able to basically use the whole entire, field or whole entire, apartment or whatever. You map the area real quick with the Guardian system that they have in there, and you're good to go. You're in room scale, and you can do whatever you want. You're not tethered to any wires or anything. So I'm really excited to get that headset when it comes out here. But some of the things that they announced at the GDC that we didn't know about: Beat Saber has been officially confirmed to be on the Oculus Quest at launch. So obviously people are really excited about that. Beat Saber being one of the most popular VR game to come out. It's great that it's going to be there at launch, and I can't wait to dive into that without any wires and be able to just go right into that without being tethered, and show it to my friends and just bring it with you, of course. One of the other games that they announced, a new game that they announced, is Shadow Point. Shadow Point is, it looks like a puzzler type of game. It's really interesting stuff where you're using like a mirror. You see yourself in the mirror, and then you're trying to solve puzzles by using objects that you're picking up and stuff, and manipulating them in the mirror so they show, what is on screen and what you're looking at and stuff. So you guys are getting a look of, a little bit of what I'm talking about now and some of the gameplay here. It's a little hard to describe, but you guys are obviously seeing it, so you get an idea of what that game is like. That game's coming on Oculus Quest at launch as well, so looking forward to that. Journey of the Gods is another game that they announced here, and that is really exciting as well. This game is basically, what they're describing as to be an action-adventure RPG game, where you're going to be leveling up, upgrading yourself, and fighting bad guys and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this game as well, to getting my hands on this one. And this is coming from Turtle Rock Studios, so they're also supposed to be making Face Your Fears 2. That was announced a while back for the Oculus Rift, on the Oculus Quest as well. And I'm a really big fan of, Face Your Fears, and their games in general. So this should be a good one as well. Coming straight from Oculus themselves is Dead and Buried 2. Dead and Buried is a great franchise that started on the Oculus Rift that I'm really looking forward to them porting over on here and being a full release game, very similar to the experience that you get on the Oculus Rift, but obviously this is the second version of it. So they talked about them having a social hub, so you can go in there and socialize before you get into the game with all the people around there, and obviously also new game modes and stuff. And there was a hands-on demo at GDC where people were going in there and playing the new deathmatch mode, moving around freely around the environment and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to this one on the Oculus Quest. And that was basically the gist of what we got from the Oculus Quest. As far as news goes, there wasn't a lot of new stuff. They did say that next week at PAX, they're going to have more news and more games to announce, because they said that there was going to be at least 50 games, over 50 games at launch, and we only know of like maybe 15, 20. So there's a lot of room here that they have to explore and basically show us the whole lineup. So PAX should be a pretty big deal as far as new game announcements and stuff for the Oculus Quest. So we'll have to see, and people are going to be going hands-on there, so we'll get more impressions of that. Early impressions of the Oculus Quest and the tracking have been outstanding so far at GDC. So moving on to the second thing that the biggest announcement that they actually had at GDC, which is what a lot of people were rumoring on and hoping for, is called Oculus Rift S. The Oculus Rift S is basically the next step above the Oculus Rift that we've had here for 3 years. And basically what it is they actually partnered with Lenovo, which is crazy. So they actually partnered with them, and they're actually the ones making the headset. You can see the design here is actually taking it from, PSVR clues and what the Lenovo mixed reality headset for Windows looks like, where it's like that hollow design. So I'm looking forward to how that feels like. I mean, I love the PSVR and the comfort, and everyone always says that that's the most comfortable headset. So you would assume that this is going to be a little bit more comfortable than what the Rift is, especially for people like me who wear glasses, to just be able to pull that back and put it right in. It might even be easier to get in and out. So the design should be a positive thing. Obviously, we won't know until we get our hands on it. But people are already saying it does feel a little bit more comfortable than the Oculus Rift. One of the other big changes on it as well, compared to the Rift here, first of all, the price, I forgot to mention, is going to be $400. They're obviously going for that sweet spot to try to get the biggest market they can. They wanted to hit that goal, they said multiple times, of being $400 and not go back to the $600, $700, or $800. So some of the things obviously were compromised for, and we'll get into that. But one of the things that obviously took a drastic change on here is they went from OLED, where you get your deeper blacks and stuff like that, on the Oculus, to now using a LCD type screen. Now, obviously a lot of people, there's going to be controversy on, why they went to this and whatnot, but it does bring some advantages. One of the advantages is there's going to be less screen door effect because they're using the LCD panel than there was before. The field of view is apparently increased a tad. We don't know the exact number, but it did increase a little bit. And the resolution bump, obviously being the biggest key difference that may have people actually upgrading to this, is the resolution difference. It's obviously going to be like the resolution to be, I believe, if I remember off the top of my head, 2560 by 1080 or something like that. It's the exact same resolution and actually the same exact lenses that the Oculus Go uses. So if you're used to that, that is what it's going to be. The Oculus Quest has a little bit higher. It's 2880 on the Oculus Quest that we were talking about earlier. So that's going to be a little bit higher. This one's just like the Oculus Go, so if you're used to that, that's basically what the screen resolution is. So it's a pretty nice bump. People have said that it is noticeable for people who got hands-on at this event. So that's good news to hear. But, there are some trade-offs here. They went to this one, and now the blacks aren't going to look as deep as for scary games and stuff like that. In horror games, you may notice that it's not as black as the OLED screen. Obviously, they did this to cut cost, obviously, too. But, we do get some benefits out of it. Obviously, we also get the benefit of there being less... much reduced God rays, that white God ray that you see when you're playing a game when there's white effects or white lettering and stuff on the Rift is really annoying, and it's going to be great to go back to the way Oculus Go did it, where I don't notice that stuff at all hardly anymore. So that's another benefit that we're going to get out of there. So it's a hit or miss depending on how you look at it. I'm excited by the increased resolution, no more God rays, and the less noticeable screen door effects. So those are all positives for me. I'll take not as dark blacks, in my opinion, for those features for the time being if we can't have everything. The other side effect that this obviously had also, which because they went to a single screen, like this LCD is a single screen, they're not two lenses in there anymore. What happens with that is IPD adjustment, depending on how far apart your eyes are, it's now going to be software-based, which means it's not hardware-based like the Rift was with that button that you used to slide. And with that being said, that means that now, if you're way too far to the right side, where you're way too far on the right or way too far on the left, as far as your IPD adjustment, you may not be able to use this at all because you're going to get some headaches and stuff like that. They're saying that they're trying to gather that this was the best middle ground, that they gathered as much people as they possibly can. But if they did straight up say that if you're on the extreme side of either side, that this may not work out for you, you may have to just stick with the Rift. This is what they, like a lot of people like to say, is like the Rift 1.5, not a full sequel that people were hoping for, but an incremental upgrade. And you can see with some of the things that they chose on here that's exactly what this is, an incremental upgrade. Basically, I fortunately have no issues with using the regular 67, 68 IPD adjustment, so I won't have any issues. I haven't had any issues with the Oculus Go. Was also used software based as well. And if you were good on the Oculus Go, then you know you're going to be good with this one, basically. So I know I'm not going to have any issues with it, but some people may. So the other big thing that this obviously changed is this is going the route of, just like the Oculus Quest, this is going to be using the cameras on the headset. So you're not going to be tethered to your PC, but you're not going to have to use those USB cameras like I have set up. I have 4 set up for the tracking for room scale and stuff. Now they're going with the inside out tracking instead with the cameras on the system. But what's nice about this one that they changed from the Oculus Quest is that there's actually a 5th camera on top. So when you're moving your hands up here to grab an arrow or a bow or stuff like that, you would assume that this is now going to give it a much greater field of view to see where you're actually being tracked. And I'm really looking forward to this, because if I can get rid of all 4 of these cameras and free up 4 USB ports on my system and get rid of these cameras from my ceilings and stuff, and this works not even 95% as well as what these cameras do, which everyone's saying that they do, but I want to get more people's hands-on experience with it, then I'll be upgrading to the Oculus Rift S for sure, because I don't have to hog up all the resources with the USB ports anymore, and being able to freely move around without having to worry about being in the field of view of my cameras, because obviously it's the cameras of what you're watching, makes it a little bit easier to even roam around my play space and stuff. So I think if it works as good as everyone's saying and as good as everyone's hoping, I think it's the right move, because we're enthusiasts. I'll set up these cameras on my ceiling to get my full experience like I've always had. But if you want VR to go more mainstream to even more people who play PC games, you need to make it as simple as possible. And this is obviously towards that direction. And if they get this working as good as it's said to be with Oculus's inside-out tracking, because it's supposed to be a lot better than what Windows Mixed Reality has been doing with their inside-out tracking, then I'm all for it. Bring it on. And I'm excited to try it out and see what people are saying about it. But your mileage will vary. If you don't like it, you're not going to be able to use the cameras with this headset at all. It's not even going to be an option, at least out of the gate, is what they said. So, something else to keep in mind. And the last thing that they did to this headset, which I will say is probably going to be my only downside out of this, and I'll have to see how much of a downside it is compared to the Oculus Rift, is they actually got rid of the headphones that were built into the Oculus Rift. They went in favor of the ones that are just built into the band, just like the Oculus Go again. So they did that instead, which obviously means that you're not going to have like the ear cups with your ears. That makes you more like into the game and stuff like that, because you're more like focused in on the game, and the sound's obviously going to be a lot better with the quality and stuff on the Oculus Rift. So we're obviously going to lose some there. It's definitely not going to be as high quality in the audio department. They did add a headphone jack on there if you want to use your own headphones, but obviously it's always easier to just have your friends come over, hand them a headset, and be like, hey, put this on, you put it on, and you're good to go. You don't have to fumble around with like a cable to make sure they're not tripping over it when they're putting the headset on. So we'll see. We'll see if I use my own headset and go that route, or if the ones built in are good enough. Where I'm not going to care, but it's definitely going to be a downgrade on the Rift, and that's my only disappointing thing. I wish they went with the Rift headphones that they had, because those are outstanding. I don't use headphones for that thing at all because they work so well. The last thing that they talked about as far as the feature goes, and I'm really excited about, is Pass-Through Plus. Pass-Through Plus means, since they have the cameras in the front, we're going to be able to go in there and turn the cameras on at any time to see the real world around you. So if someone's trying to talk to you and stuff like that. But what's cool about it is it's going to be in stereo, so it's going to be completely mapped to exactly how your room looks, and that's going to be cool to be able to finally be able to see VR and not have to take off your headset if you're trying to see your keyboard or talk to someone in front of you, all those kinds of things. And we'll see what kind of experiences that may enable in the future if they open it up to developers as well. But that's cool, and I'm excited for that feature. So those are the main things that Oculus and VR news that we got out of them for at GDC. I'm looking forward to next week, like I said, when PAX is around, to see what happens. People are thinking that this Oculus Rift S is actually going to release at PAX, because they don't think that they're going to drop both of these at the same time, and they're both supposed to come out in spring of this year, obviously. And they think, like I said, the Oculus Quest is going to release it at the Facebook Developers Conference on April 30th. And they think that since this is just an incremental upgrade, that this might actually just get dropped next Thursday. So we'll have to wait and see if those have any. And obviously, next Thursday is also the 3-year anniversary date for the Oculus Rift, which is why a lot of people are also going with that date as well. So we'll have to wait and see if that's as soon as we're going to get this headset and get some hands-on impressions of this. So we'll see how that goes. But this is the biggest news that came out of the Game Developers Conference for the most part. I'm really excited. I'm definitely more excited about the Oculus Quest for the obvious reasons that we talked about earlier. But the Oculus Rift S, I'm also excited for the increased resolution and stuff. There are some downsides to it, like we talked about, but I think for me personally, the good outweighs the bad. as long as that tracking works as good as it's being advertised to be. So we'll have to wait and get some impressions on people who are using it before I, start ripping my cameras out. We'll have to see. But guys, that's everything we had to talk about from GDC. I'm really excited for where VR is headed. If you guys have any questions about anything I talked about or any questions about anything VR related, as always, leave them down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.
Tech, gaming techie is the gaming tech, gaming techie, gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech.